I'm Charlotte Kemp, futurist, keynote speaker, and executive coach, and I'd like to take you through a philosophical conversation about the dematerialization of money. Because once upon a time, money had weight. We could point to it, we could feel it. We traded cowrie shells. We had huge stones that represented wealth, and we knew who on the island had these stones. It was a social contract in terms of who had the wealth. In time, these types of trading elements were switched up for coins, and then the first paper money from China. And then during the Renaissance, they started actually keeping ledgers of accounts who owed what money to whom. But then in the 20th century, we moved away even from the gold standard, and now we're using plastic. We're tapping. It's a tap, a blink, a fingerprint that allows us to trade money for something that we want to buy. No more clinking coins, no more folded notes. And now all the way to actually transacting with our cell phones, using QR codes to make transactions. In certain places, cash is irrelevant and not accepted. And we have now the blockchain where we can do transactions and exchange value, very much based on distributed ledgers, ones and zeros, and it's all digital. But in the space of digital money, we're starting to reevaluate and question a number of other assumptions we have about money or economy or wealth. For example, we're beginning to count the cost of emotional labor, of how much value is created for an economy and for society by the people who care for other people, the volunteers who do work in organizations, people who add huge amounts of value and are not financially compensated. A lot of this value that has been created, that is relied on in a society, has never been counted and never been financially compensated. And now we're starting to reevaluate that emotional time and value and add to the economy. People are also being far more conscious about their financial choices and how their consumption of certain things affects perhaps the wrong kinds of people. So now we're making decisions based on whether something is green or not, is conscious or not, what the political affiliation means for this particular purchase, the impact on the environment, the integrity of the value chain, and who is being abused in the production of something that we are consuming for a few cents. Further than that, capitalism is being questioned for the first time in a very long time. The assumption is not that capitalism is necessarily the best option we have for an economy. The whole concept of what is natural or inevitable is being questioned. And the reason people support capitalism is because so many people believe that they too can pull themselves up by their bootstraps and to make a fortune, and now discovering that that is just not possible in the way society has been formed under the system. The whole concept of trickle-down economics is proving to be invalid and only creates more wealth for the already very wealthy people. So what is shifting is a sense of possibility of what economics and money can look like. We're also discovering that there are other kinds of currencies. We're not just trading in money, but we're also trading in a digital economy where our focus is now not on something physical, but on the clicks, the interaction, the engagement online, and that has value. Our participation in something creates value, not just the actual financial exchange that we might or might not even be making. And even beyond that, there is now a serious look at the value, the inherent value we have about our own personal data. If other people are making money by trading our data, then shouldn't that initial value come back to us who are creating our data? Every time we engage with an application or with anything on the internet, when we walk into a shop, when we're driving through a city, we are creating data that other people are becoming wealthy on. And why should other people get value from what we are creating? And if we look at those possibilities, we open up huge new philosophical questions about the nature of money and the nature of wealth. It's not just about owning physical assets, but the future might be about owning our own digital selves and deciding when and how that value is created. And if we're having a philosophical conversation about money and about value, then maybe we want to take the conversation all the way to the end and realize what the value is when we come together and co-create a preferred future for ourselves that is based on dignity, inherent value of the human being, where more people can get more benefit around the world without impacting anyone hugely financially, other than the 1% who might lose a small portion of their already exorbitant wealth. So there you go, some philosophical questions about the nature of money, the nature of economy, and the decisions we make about how we transact and what that means for ourselves, for our society, for our planet, and for the generations that come after us. I'm Charlotte Kemp, Futures Alchemist, and I invite you to join me on these kinds of philosophical conversations.